Kwa maombi yenu na uwezo wa Mwenyezi Mungu, ako hapa kama katibu mkuu wa chama cha ODM, kiranja walio wachache katika bunge la Seneti na senator wa jiji hili la Nairobi, Edwin Sifuna. Good morning.
Good morning, Latif. And,
good to see you.
Mariam, thank you for having me on your show this morning. I don't quite remember the last time I was here. And with you, Latif, we used to have conversations across the city.
On the other side.
Yeah, so I apologize to your viewers for coming in a bit late. There was a bit of traffic that I ran into, but all's well that ends well.
You're here.
I'm here.
And the many people who are waiting for this conversation are saying, no, he's here, that's good enough.
Oh, thank you so much.
Let's get straight into it.
All right.
So first of all, Janet, of course, you know, would have been here. She'd be giving you the day's quote.
Yes.
But she's delegated it to Mariam.
Okay. Yes. In absentia. Let me see if I can hold down the fort. But today's quote is coming from someone who was the former president of the African Development Bank. His name is Akinwumi Adesina. And he said, if young people are not included in economic growth, they will reject the system entirely. If young people are not included in economic growth, they will reject the system entirely.
Yeah, I have had the pleasure of meeting him when he was still at in the office. I remember he came to the LSK annual conference last year, and he was a keynote speaker there. And what he says is actual fact, that nobody will accept a system that doesn't include them. We can't just be there to be your cheerleaders. You do your thing and we are just observers on the side, because it is acknowledged that we all have a stake in this country. And in fact, the younger you are, the greater your stake, because some of us have pushed the numbers a bit. We are not as young as some people think. And the people with the greatest stake are the ones who own the future. And those of us who have eaten salt, as they say, should also try and find a way to include the younger generations in every conversation, and especially the economic conversation.
So for it appears lately, that younger generation, a sizable number of them who are active on social media, who are active on political spaces, who have actually also just been dormant on political spaces, but are coming out, in support of this Sifuna movement, right? When you said, Mimi ndio Sifuna, they've said, Sisi ndio Sifuna. And sort of it brings in this whole new wave and expectation. Do you feel the weight of this moment?
Actually, I have been amazed by the outpouring of support from Kenyans of all walks of life. And I take this opportunity to thank them. That it gives great comfort to know that you are not alone. And it gives me great comfort to know that even if something were to happen to me, somehow they were able to tame my tongue or, derail me. There are other Sifunas out there. It cannot be about an individual. In fact, I have always argued, Latif, and these are conversations we've had with you, that this country is going to change not because of one individual, but building critical mass. You have to have people across the country who believe that things need to be done differently. You see, the problem with, one of the problems with democracy is that you have a limited time in office. You have, if God grants you the graces, you have a maximum of 10 years. You do 2 terms and you have to leave. And the unfortunate thing about that is that if you don't have critical mass of people who believe and think in the same philosophy, you will have one stellar president. For instance, when we had Kibaki and the economy was doing great, and then the next time you elect people who believe in a totally different philosophy, and then you find the country stagnating. So across the entire country, I want to encourage young people to participate in politics, to show up, to offer themselves for office, from MCA positions to the Senate positions, to the members of Parliament, all these positions. Nobody should threaten you that it takes rocket science or that some magic, that they're telling us we don't have money, we don't have whatever it is. But it's a different time, I believe, Eric, and I think what Kenyans are looking for is the message and the vision that this country can actually be different. When you read all these stories, and including the ones that you've just read this morning, it is quite depressing, and you can feel the yearning in the country for a different way of doing things. And it's not that people don't want, for instance, development, but when you read about a stadium being built, you know, anybody can build a stadium. Moi is the one who built as Kasarani. But if you ask a majority of Kenyans, they don't want to go back to their life under Moi. you know. This Talanta Stadium is being built. I mean, nobody can deny that there is a stadium there. It is a fantastic facility. But can it be built in accordance with the Constitution and in accordance with the law? That is what Kenyans are yearning for. So I have felt the love, I have felt the support, but I really pray that they don't make this thing about Sifuna, because one of the things I keep reminding people is that we are deeply flawed human beings. We are not perfect. Yeah. I mean, we are not perfect. In fact, one of the women in my mother's Kikundi, you know that Kikundi for Catholics, St. Anthony's, that meet on Sunday, she called me and she said she was very disappointed in some of my utterances in Kakamega after the tear gas was fired. But you know, tear gas has a way of... My son, hiyo maneno nakwambia, unajua ukipigwa tear gas, haujuangi hata saa ile machozi natoka, makamasi natoka, mambo ingine, you might shout one profanity or another. Yeah, but we want to remind them that even with our shortcomings, I think we are focused and we are determined to be able to deliver a different Kenya than the one that we have right now.
So you're saying let them not make it about Sifuna?
No, it can't be.
So when you hear people saying Sisi ndio Sifuna, what's your interpretation of that?
I think they're identifying with a message. They're identifying with some of my trials and tribulations. You know what has been happening in the party. And I hope for the sake of the country, they agree that things can be done differently from the way that they are doing it. But I have been overwhelmed. I'm telling you, Latif, even from the support from some of my colleagues in the party, in the National Assembly, in the Senate, the people showing up to our meetings, because Baba used to tell us that the people are a leader's safety. For as long as where you are, the people are, then you are in the right place. And let the people themselves be the ones to guide you on what you need to do. So I just say thanks. I will try my best, and the entire Linda Mwananchi team, not to let anybody down, to remain focused, to be able to put in place a proper message for the country and paint a picture. Because one of the things that we appreciate as leadership is that we have a responsibility to also explain ourselves, explain our actions, explain our vision. We can't just be saying things. We need to show up for Kenyans, you know. Sure. Yesterday there was a young lady I saw on this show that I actually met her on TikTok.
Abby.
Yes, and she's been fantastic, and she said a few things here. One of the conversations we've had with them is that all of us who are saying Ruto must go must be available to go him. You must be when the going you must be ready to go him.
Yep.
So all of us must answer the call because we can hear it across the country that people are yearning for a different leadership in the country.
Are you giving these young people momentum, or are they giving you momentum?
They are giving me momentum. They are giving me energy. I mean, if I tell you the story of Kakamega, I mean, one of these fine days, I think some of us need to write books. It is just ridiculous. We shouldn't live in a country like this. So if it wasn't for those young people, we wouldn't even have shown up in Kakamega, because the machinations of the state were to ensure that the meeting does not happen. We were booked on commercial flights from JKIA. Somehow the airlines, which I will not mention because they'll start crying, they leaked our itinerary to operatives in the Interior Ministry. So those guys know Sifuna is landing at X time. They know Babu is on this flight, is landing at X time. And they mobilize goons to come and make sure that we don't leave the airport, you know? So at night, the good thing is that I have been at this job called Secretary General for so long that I know almost all of these people. Right. So they are the ones calling me. You know, I
the
didn't
goons,
even,
you know.
Yes, they are our boys. You know, we have done a lot of things together. In fact, I didn't even, I had forgotten that I had built a shed somewhere in Kisumu. They are the ones who asked me. I don't know which year that was. I said, oh, Sifuna, you know, Juena to pick up. I think it must be like 4 years ago. I only remembered when I saw clips that they were destroying that thing, which is okay. I understand. They are the same ones who tell us, oh, by the way, we've been told to go to the airport tomorrow to make sure you guys don't leave and to access Kakamega. So in the middle of the night, man, we are making frantic calls here and there to some of these air charter providers just to get us to Kakamega. And in the morning, we are sneaking into the airport like we are thieves, or like we have done something wrong. Like we are fugitives in a country that is supposed to be free, to board an aircraft that we didn't want them to know, to land at an airstrip that we did not disclose. In fact, we were telling my colleagues, the ones who came on the flight, where we were landing when they were on board. You know, so it is not supposed to be like that. So we land someplace, use some other back routes, and get into Kakamega. And there were young people who had been mobilized. We shared even those clips with one of your producers here.
Yeah.
They can play them for the people.
Yeah.
And those young men, amazingly, they took the money, they fueled their borders, and then they removed those reflector jackets and banned them. And that is the only way we were able to get into Kakamega. And the rally begins, and I think the script is that immediately Sifuna takes the microphone, the tear gas has to be lobbed. And I'm surprised they didn't throw one here today. And if they're planning that, wamalize tu mapema so that we actually have a show. Watupe tu mapema. And it is quite unfortunate hearing the statements from Kenya Airports Authority. Kisumu is an international airport. Can you imagine a spectre where an international airport can be blockaded and goons are waiting outside for a passenger, somebody who has flown into that airport? They are saying they will not leave that facility. And KAA is issuing a statement saying that's none of their business, that the area around the airport is not their business, that we should ask somebody else. That they saw the goons, yes, but that is none of their business. An international
It's beyond
airport,
their jurisdiction.
It's ridiculous, Latif, if you ask me. It's ridiculous. So the young people are the ones who have been the wind under our wings, and we thank them for showing up, for neutralizing all those machinations. And one of the things that was quite amazing is that, do you know the person who actually had that tear gas? There were two, and one had handcuffs. These are things that only police officers have. Our suspicion is that these were officers in plain clothes. The young people went and found these people. Of course, waliwasalimia kidogo. And if it wasn't for Babu Owino, because he was the one on the mic, those two gentlemen would have been killed. Because Babu told them, no, stop beating them. They were severely beaten. So when somebody says that I arranged my own tear gassing, then the young people caught my person who was supposed to tear gas me, giving him a beating like a dog, almost killing him. What sort of logic is that when Kipchumba Murkomen speaks?
Says like that.
Number two, Latif, all these devices, by the way, have serial numbers. And the general population, like an ordinary citizen like myself, has no way of accessing those things. We want IPOA. I wish that IPOA was empowered enough to be able to do some of these investigations. It is possible to get those fragments of those tear gas canisters and be able to trace which police officer, which police station those things came from. But I want to just send a general warning, two warnings actually. Number one, to the people who are being used to disrupt other people's political rallies. It is very dangerous for you. You can actually be killed. If it wasn't for us saving the lives of those two young people who had handcuffs and the tear gas, they would have been killed there. Number two, I want to warn the state that it is going to take more than tear gas now to stop the voice and the movement of the people. They have to try something else. Let them try bees from wherever it is they can get bees or something like that. But it is not going to be possible. The young people of Malemba coined a msemo on Saturday that kutupwa kwa tear gas sio mwisho wa mkutano. Yeah, so let it be known that it will no longer be possible to stop people's movements using these things.
It will not. It be unstoppable.
It is unstoppable.
There's a question that Mariam asked Abi Zuena yesterday.
Yes.
With regarding that incident.
Yeah.
And just in response to what Kipchumba and others are saying, that you may be knowing who were the perpetrators of this so-called violence, as they say. So this incident, now that you had the person who was suspected to have been involved in lobbing the tear gas within your custody, did you take them to hospital or to the police? Did you report this to the police? Did you or your members of your team report to the police? Because walizima yo kitu, did they take the canister and also accompany that?
Yeah, but you are putting the responsibility on the wrong people. First of all, it is the responsibility of the police to protect those meetings. I shared a communication, the notification to the police that was done days in advance to the regional commander in Kakamega. And I was very surprised that I saw the same gentleman on TV saying that he was not aware of any meeting. Number two, when this gentleman, actually the person who detonated that tear gas canister, there were two of them, and they had handcuffs. You saw them. The videos are there. They were put on a dais, and we actually told the people who were there, the local organizers, to take them to hospital. Now, I personally have not followed up to understand if they were taken to hospital or not. But the sort of injuries that I saw on that gentleman's head, I am sure he's in a hospital somewhere. So, unless he wants to die, he has to be in a hospital somewhere. But most critically, Mariam, you know, some of us are like proper students of Raila. One of the things Raila used to tell us, that we are not going to be crybabies, you know? Why am I going to report to the police who tear-gassed me that there was somebody who was tear-gassing me?
It's not to be a crybaby.
Yeah.
It's for an accountability thread.
There is not going to be any accountability until we have a government that is actually accountable.
Because then I can ask Kipchumba Murkomen, these people, Walinda Mwananchi, made a report at this police station. They said they had a tear gas canister with a serial number S blah 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 blah. What have you done? Have you followed up? What police station did it come from? Who was seconded there? Who is the OCPD, and so on and so forth? We just have to go on a short break. Just hold the thought, hold your response, and then we'll take a short break and come back with Senator Edwin Sifuna. Hashtag is fixing the nation. We see all your comments and questions. We'll try and ask as many as we can. Was Up Nation video. Watu wa Turkana, we see you. Nachukui village very specifically. Na wale wajayo na njugu outside from the ground. That's how it looks like. Even your ground natinaka. No. Phil is trying to tell me ati kama Mariam, please, mimi ni mkulima. Don't mess with me. But of course, that was a wonderful Was Up Nation video. You can also send us yours. Tuambie uko wapi, what are you doing to fix the nation, or what needs to be done to fix the nation? Our number is 0769 590 762. 0769 590 762. Hivyo tu.
Tuko hapa na masifuna wengi sana who are all sisi ndio Sifuna online. Hata wanasema wataki hizi breaks. How much is the commercial break? We will pay.
Break haishi woye.
Sabo Gemstone says, ask Sifuna, what's the end game? Does he think someone like Babu meets the constitutional test and threshold for integrity, cognizant of the case that he had earlier before him? Omanga Momanyi asks Sifuna, why was he comfortable swearing in Oburu as a party leader and then later complaining that it wasn't done according to the party constitution? Please, Sifuna, next meeting, we want you people to come with a clear agenda, not just one term. That is Anne Gloria 2015. And tell Babu to stop the issue of Mandamano and give us a clear direction on what your leadership is all about. And Mariam, Madly African says, we can't dalliance with your abductors. The same police that sent goons to harm them, they'll disappear the evidence, given the propensity for lies. Let's go back into that, because that was a question that you had asked the Secretary General before the break.
Yes. Why not?
In fact, that is a point that I was making, that once you notify the police, they are supposed to be present there to be able to provide security, not only as a deterrent, but as actively involved in investigation of incidents such as those. To my recollection, I don't remember seeing any uniformed police officer at Amalemba, despite the fact that we had given notice. And if they were present, they would be the ones to arrest the person and to take them in. But we live in a country where we have to accept certain realities. This is the doing of the state and the doing of the police. So it's like going to report that your chicken has been stolen to the person who stole the chicken. Yesterday, when we were visiting with Vincent Ayomo's family, we gave them an assurance that because of the history, for instance, many young people were killed in 2023 demonstrations that we took part in 2024, despite us writing down an MOU and saying, we need to sort out reparations, not only compensation for the loss of lives and injuries, but also to bring the officers who are responsible to account. And we told the family of Vincent that, given that history, because it is now less than 2 weeks to the expiry of that MOU, none of those things have been done, and because it is clear William Ruto never had any intention to be able to do any of those things that he agreed with Raila. So you started by saying we need to keep hope alive in this country, and the hope that we want to give Kenyans is that things will not always be the same. In under 18 months, we have an opportunity to put in place an administration that is based on the values in the Constitution that will bring all these things to happen. So it is difficult for me to look Vincent's widow in the eye and tell him that this government will actually do something about killing her husband.
Yeah.
It is not going to happen.
It's really not.
We cannot get accountability out of William Ruto's government.
It's not even the hope of accountability.
Yeah.
It's giving people something to work with. Because you're absolutely right. This government won't always be in power.
Yeah.
If there comes a time when there are people in power willing to fix injustices and
which is why,
the past,
Mariam,
then it's good to have like that trail.
Allow me to just segue into that question that came from one of the viewers there on the vision that we want to build for this country.
Okay.
And
but let me just finish my thread. My thread of thought.
Yeah.
I was thinking through the same reason you lose your phone, for example, it gets stolen. You go, you write an OB. I don't think you ever write an OB with the hope that those police will bring back your phone.
Yeah.
It is so that when that phone is used in a crime or some other thing, you can come and say, I lost it, OB number ndio hii, I reported it lost, and it's for posterity and for future accountability, not so much that anything will happen now, or that there's a hope that something will happen now.
Yeah, okay, for me, first of all, they have turned it around and accused us of being responsible for, I don't know, I saw a statement from the DCI saying we are arming our supporters, we are tear-gassing ourselves. The entire Linda Mwananchi team is available for the police if there is any evidence that Sifuna or anybody else has been doing any of those things. We are available. We can be summoned. We can even be arrested if they have evidence. Let them show the evidence. We are prepared to face them in court. But I want to make this assurance here that you cannot go to the people who are, they do it, they accuse you of doing it, and then you expect me to go and report to them. Our hope is entirely on the people of Kenya to be able to appreciate that this country can actually be different, And this is the reason why when people say, oh, we want to hear a clear agenda, I want the people to understand that we are not going to talk about shiny things, We are not going to talk about stadiums. Previous politicians in campaigns have actually engaged people box using shiny things like laptops and Barabara and stadium. I remember those billboards of the 5 stadiums in Mombasa and all these places. I'm telling you, Mariam, anybody, any person can build a stadium. Moi builds stadiums. But what we are looking for is something higher. Kenya has what I describe as a software problem. And you have to go back to the preamble of the Constitution. This Constitution has a history. There was a life we used to live that then we said this has to stop. And going forward, this is the life that we want to live. And if you go back to the preamble of the Constitution, it tells you the aspirations of Kenyans, the kind of government that they wanted. And our message to the public is that that is the government we want to form. And if you read the preamble, it says, recognizing the aspirations of all Kenyans for a government based on essential values of human rights, equality, freedom, democracy, social justice, and the rule of law. Those 6 values are more important than stadiums. You understand? Because everything that we do, we're not saying we don't want development. Because any government, a democratic government, will still collect taxes. And they will still have a responsibility to build roads. But in what environment are they building? So if you see somebody telling you, this Constitution requires, for instance, when you construct anything, or any expenditure of public money must be done in a transparent manner. So you have a choice between somebody building you a stadium, and then the Auditor General tells you the costs were varied, 11 billion, no explanation. There was no consultation of the Attorney General, that they refused to use open tender, which is the transparency that we're talking about. And we understand the exasperation of Kenyans, because Kenyans have been yearning for these things. There are those who will be tempted to say, sisi tunataka tu stadium ijengwe. It's okay. It's okay because of the history that we have. People are feeling, wacha tu barabara ijengwe hata kama mtu amekula 20%. At least kuna barabara. But we are telling them, even a Democrat can do that. I was giving the example of those young men who were beaten up for no reason while playing pool in Nandi Hills. So mtu amekuletea pesa ya Nyota Fund, uanzishe pool. Alafu umeanzisha pool. Usiku hujafanya makosa yote, polisi wanakuja wanakupiga. That is the value system that we want to fix. I want to tell Kenyans that we need to go back to the original idea of the sort of government that we wanted to be able to implement this. And there's a reason, in constitutional and legal interpretation, when you have words following each other, and there's a comma,
Yeah.
the order of the words is not it's not a fluke. It's not happenstance. There's a reason why the first value there is human rights. There is a reason, you know. Then we go to equality and freedom. When you talk to many of these young people in this country, people want to live in a country that is free. It's free. I might not have something to eat, but I am not fearful that the police will knock down the door the next minute. I give people the example of us. You know, me, I was born and grew up entirely under the Kanu state until I became an adult capable of voting. I was born in 1982 when the Kanu state was now becoming the Kanu state. You would be sitting in the village under a tree with your father. And when you hear the sound of, they used to have Land Rovers and they bought Mahindras. I don't know if people remember Mahindras. I'm an old man. So this Mahindra had a very specific sound, distinct signature sound. So your father akisikia yo Mahindra pale kwa mlima, anakimbia kwa miwa for no reason. Because those guys would pick you up and 6 months later, your family doesn't know where you are. And there's no explanation that is given because during the Kanu regime, detention without trial was actually law. So nobody wants to go back there. Moi built as a fantastic facility for the All Africa Games, I think it was in 1989. But under what circumstances were people living? So we grow up and we get to 2002. And it's the first time my generation who were born in 1982 have an opportunity to vote. You should have seen the enthusiasm with which we went to the polls. Because we want to be free. I don't know how I can explain it. Above everything else, I want to be free, to be able to wake up, to say whatever it is that I want, because the Constitution guarantees me the freedom of speech. If I am going to jail because I tweeted and said, I don't like Latif's nose, that is not the freedom that we fought for. If I cannot assemble somewhere with people because I'll be tear gassed, that is not the country we want to live in. We want to be in a country where people are free to be able to express themselves. And then there is something called rule of law. You know, these things, they're not just, fanciful terms that we throw around. You visit countries, Eric, and they are Kenyans, my friend. People who have slaved away in European countries, in places like Seattle. I met Kenyans who are doing jobs that many Americans will not want to do. In these old elderly care homes. Yeah? And they tell you that after going through all that, doing all these menial jobs, you have saved up some money. Yeah? I want to buy a piece of land in Nairobi. But I don't know whether, once I have put all my entire life saving, after doing all these menial jobs, somebody will come and tell me, by the way, hii plot iko na title mbili, ama ni ya mkubwa. Usikie hii ni ya senator wa Nairobi. Anakuambia utoke. Na anakuambia, even if, for instance, the rule of law means if there is a dispute between me and you, Latif, and you go to court and you get a court order, everybody, including wakubwa, will respect that court order. So somebody sitting there in Australia wondering, hey, Maze, I want to come home. Lakini, which home am I coming to? We want a home that is governed by rule of law. That if an order is issued against Sifuna, it doesn't matter if he's a president, the order will be respected. No investor will come and invest in a country where they are not sure that if a dispute arises between them and the government, that, there are stories, I don't know if we have time. No commercial breaks. So, an investor comes to Kenya, and before they put their mradi here, everybody from the local chief to the MCA to the president is saying, "Bi usiponipea shares in
something."
I mean,
it's essentially how almost every project works.
So the message here from Edwin Sifuna is, I want to be part of those that create a government that recognizes the preamble of the Constitution. The preamble of the Constitution is the very beginning of our Constitution. You can go and look at the Constitution of Kenya. It has those...
It gives you the reasons.
Those lawyerly words.
Not lawyerly words. This is actually a summary of the reasons why we chose this one.
It's the heart of the Constitution.
Yes, it is the reason.
Acknowledges the supremacy of the Almighty God, honoring those who heroically struggle to bring freedom and justice to our land.
Correct.
Proud of our ethnic, cultural, and religious diversity, and determined to live in peace and unity as one indivisible sovereign nation. Respectful of the environment, which is our heritage, and determined to sustain it for the benefit of future generations. Committed to nurturing and protecting the well-being of the individual, the family, communities, and the nation. And this is Sisindio Sifuna's main one.
Correct.
Recognizing the aspirations of all Kenyans for a government based on the essential values of human rights, equality, freedom, democracy, social justice, and the rule of law. And you say the sequencing of these words is deliberate by the drafters of the Constitution.
Correct.
And it stands for something. I wonder, how do you get this?
Now,
how do you deliver this to us?
Now,
Because,
those people who ask us, this is the entire manifesto of the Linda Mwananchi Group. This is the manifesto we will give to the people of Kenya in 2027. That it is possible, by the way, Latif, to live a life that captures all these aspirations, because there's a history to it. There was a time, I've given you stories here. There was a time when none of these things were possible. Even just sitting here and having this conversation, it was not possible. So you will see at the end there, it says, exercising our sovereign and inalienable right to determine the form of governance of our country, and having participated fully in the making of this constitution, we adopt, enact, and give this constitution to ourselves and to our future generations. These words are profound. They mean something. So let us discuss the software of the country. One of the things that we must accept as leaders, you must accept that you also have blind spots. But Mariam, you know, when somebody says, Sifuna, sit here and give me economic policy. First of all, I'm not an economist. And I must accept that I don't know everything. There are these know-it-all leaders who is farmer number one, Isijui is the expert on ICT expert, Isijui Nini. That is not who we are. We have to recognize that we don't have everything with us. But we have a country where this expertise exists. I was driving on a road from Mbita.
Homa Bay.
Yes, in Homa Bay. You know, I took my family for the Christmas break, not the Christmas, the New Year's Eve, in some fishing village there in Homa Bay. And you drive along that thing they call the Lake Victoria Ring Road.
Oh, no.
The Lake Victoria Ring Road.
Okay.
Beautiful views. I dare anyone who has traveled anywhere else to tell us if they've seen something more beautiful than that road, the views on that road. But the road is terrible. Then I remembered, I visited a city in South Africa called, it's called what? East London. Now, East London is also a coastal city. There is a proper boardwalk there, where people come with their families and they chill on Sundays, they do roasts and other things. That thing was designed and built by a Kenyan from Bungoma, called Wafula. So we are telling you, but the problem with Wafula is that he doesn't believe that there's a system of meritocracy in Kenya that would actually give him the opportunity to do these things. He has to go to build these things in South Africa. When you have a government that is based on these values, everybody gets the comfort that they can come and render their expertise. We reintroduce a system of meritocracy. I can admit as president that I don't know how to build boardwalks, but there are Kenyans who are able to build those things. So we have to be able to harness all the talent that we have in the country. But to do that, you have to give them confidence that there's a country that works for them.
That's a tall ask from the citizens and from ourselves, like leaders, journalists, everyone. But let me just go into a few things before we even go into the machinations of exactly how to do that. The question on believing in or swearing in Oburu while, not, I don't know, either fully believing him as, you know, party leader, or what was happening there?
As Secretary General of the party.
First of all, I was presiding over the meeting of the National Governing Council. That's not to say I was the one swearing him in. Now, the story of how Oburu becomes a party leader is a very emotive story for me, because Mariam, you know, nobody prepared us as a party, as a country, as supporters of ODM for the death of Raila. You know, this guy, he used to walk around like he was immortal. And the thought never crosses your mind. Then I wake up one morning and there's a message on my phone, Amolo has left us. And I remember I was dressed in orange because we had an activation for a by-election in Kajiado. So we divert the convoy, we go to Mama's house, and there, you know, whatever happens. And we find ourselves in State House because the announcement has to be made by the head of state. By the way, I was very angry even just that morning because I didn't understand why it had to be the head of state to make that announcement. Because we sat in that house from, I think, the time that I arrived, waiting for Oburu because he was in Kisumu. My understanding was that he, as the head of the Jaramogi family, would arrive and make that statement. But then, state protocol takes over and we all are told to go to State House. I was just wondering, like, why, And at State House, they say, because at the house, the Raila's lawyer had told us his will that he wanted to be buried within 72 hours.
Yeah.
And then at State House, we tell, we need a delegation to go to Mumbai and come back with Mzee's body. And I wasn't even on that list, by the way. But I think one of those CSs who came from ODM noticed that the list was very government heavy. It's like, but Sifuna is here. Leta passport yako patia sijui nani. That's how I find myself on the flight to Mumbai.
Okay.
Yeah. So we go to Mumbai, and actually it was one of the most difficult moments in my life. And that image can never leave my head, because, we found Mzee's body on the air side. They had already transferred him from where he was.
Yeah.
And now the body was in the back of a truck, a canter, just waiting to be wrapped with that paper that they wrap it with, so that they could put it on the plane. So the indignity, man, like, you can't believe this is Baba. So while we are going through all these emotions, people are meeting somewhere to feel his position. Can you imagine that? Mzee had not even arrived in Kenyan airspace.
Yeah.
And they're already doing that. I wasn't present in that meeting. If I was present in that meeting, I would have told them that the constitution of ODM, which I brought a copy of, I walk around with it everywhere, so that when clever journalists like Latvia want to challenge me on provisions of the ODM constitution, I can show them. It requires that you elect a party leader at a national delegates convention. Now, Raila had 3 deputies. And you see, some of these people, I have asked Ososi, do you people understand what the word deputy means? Like, when you offer yourself for that position, you should be prepared to be able to act in that position in the event that your boss is unavailable.
That's true.
So my expectation would have been that the 3 of them would have said, let Ososi act for the month of January, you act for the month of February, then you act for the month of March, and in March we call an NDC. Now, there is a way in which the emotional blackmail on members of the Central Committee, on members of the, the National Executive Committee works, that now we are brought back, and all of them, we just told, okay, let's just go along, we need, at least in these moments of grief, some level of stability.
And leadership.
And leadership, and, he's an old man. And the initial pronouncements by Oburu were very encouraging. If you go back to the things that he was saying in the initial days, saying, this thing has just fallen on my lap, my job is just to steer the party through this difficult period and hand over the party to young people. His own words. He said it himself.
That's true.
He said it himself. So you must understand everything that happened in the context of that there was a very solid drive to be able to not unnecessarily stir the waters and to be able to allow time for us to be able to do these things. That does not mean that the constitutional responsibility to be elected at an NDC is ousted. And the reason why we were insisting on doing things properly, one of the things why the Central Committee of ODM used to make decisions that would they would be readily accepted by the membership. There's a reason. It was because that is the only organ of ODM that was chaired by Raila Odinga. He was the chair of that committee.
Central Committee.
Yeah.
All other organs of the party are chaired by the chairperson. So meetings of the Central Committee will be chaired by Raila. And Raila had legitimacy. He had been to an NDC. He has been the presidential candidate of a party. So when you start hearing a different tone from Oburu, then it worries us. And you're saying, hey, boss, see, you go then get the legitimacy from members of the party. So then you can be able to make some of those critical decisions that you're making.
Just jumping in because before we take a break. So the leadership of the party meets and says, let's appoint Oburu as interim party leader.
Correct.
And because that was the communication.
Yes.
I remember Abdul Somad reading that at the airport and saying interim party leader.
Correct.
And the messaging from the interim party leader was, I'm a caretaker here for this. And then again, you met at the point now where you were chairing that meeting that endorsed that decision.
Yeah.
So, and that's when now he came in and took in the oath and said, I will be.
Yeah, but you see the of ODM, even I went through a similar process. Yeah? That you are an interim official until elected by the National Delegates Convention. I was appointed in an interim position in 2018. It was not until 2021 when we went to the NDC that I was elected unopposed and unanimously as SG of ODM. You know, so these things, it is when we say please do the right thing, it's not to say we want to remove you as party leader.
Okay.
You see, and
Just
the question you have asked is very interesting. When did he transform from interim to wakudumu wa milele?
Yeah.
That's the question.
Has he?
According to him, but according to the constitution of ODM, the only time you become substantive is when you are elected at the NDC.
But as the custodian of the party's ideal, the Secretary General, right? You know what the party constitution says.
Yes.
You were there, you chaired that meeting that endorsed him as interim. And therefore you know this is the position. He is interim until an NDC is held.
Correct.
As far as I remember, there were conversations around when the NDC is going to be held.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
There was no argument that there's going to be an NDC or not.
So
at what point did Edwin Sifuna, as Secretary General, start feeling like the interim party leader does not want an NDC that will elect him? Or start feeling that this one is usurping the powers of a substantive party leader? What made you feel that?
Now, first of all, our calls for clothing the party leader in legitimacy were misinterpreted as disrespect.
Okay.
You know, young people know exactly what I am saying. You know, these conversations we have with our grandfathers, they are very interesting. You say something and they think, oh, you, first of all, you are a child, sit down. You should not be saying those things. It is not disrespect.
You want to inherit me when I'm alive.
You need to guide people. You need to guide. In my position as SG, I should be able to offer free advice on my understanding of things. It is not to say that it is disrespectful. Number two, if you look at the gravity of the decisions that are being taken, my view is that some of those decisions can only be taken when you are clothed with that legitimacy. For instance, you want to tell members of ODM that you are beginning negotiations to form a coalition government with Party X. That is something that requires a mandate of the people. And that's what we are saying. There is no rush. Let's do things by the book, and then you can be able to have the mandate and say, now I'm going. The reason why Raila used to do those things the way he used to do them is because he always went back to the people. Even doing something as innocuous as signing an MOU. Baba went around the country. Just, you know, sometimes we in ODM, there are things that we know. Sometimes Baba would want something. We know what he wants. But at least he used to pretend to consult. Just even if it's just for sure. Like you know, like I remember he came back from the first 3 consultations he did. He did, I think, Mombasa, then he did Kwale, then he did, I think it was Kilifi. You know, he came back, he told us, but there's Sifuna. Of all these meetings, the only people, he said the only people who were genuinely giving me proper advice, not the proper advice, but saying what they truly feel about this thing, were the people in Kwale. I can tell when people want to please me, there are people who don't want to offend me, there are people who are just saying, you know, Musisumbwe mzee. He used to be able to tell. But he used to do it. He used to do it. He said, come here, Nini. And I mean, one of the things that people will come to understand is that, you see, when the party leader, Raila, because of the legitimacy he had and the support of the people, in the heart of the people that he had, everything we used to do in ODM, including our rules, our constitution, was in order to facilitate him to be able to achieve what he wants to achieve. Now, we have to ask ourselves if any other leader in ODM has that level of legitimacy. Correct. Even Sifuna. I mean, you have to have the heart of the people before they can trust you and say, Sifuna it looks suspicious, but we trust Sifuna knows what he's doing.
It's a democracy and should be following the democratic processes
Absolutely.
in your constitution as well. We'll go on a short break, but when we come back, we'll also talk about the charges, or what we want to call them, against you, that were preferred against you as far as issues party related. Do they hold any water? Are they substantive? Court case still ongoing, but we'll try and do our best to cover it. Hashtag is Fixing the Nation NTV. We'll be right back after this. Draft issue.
Frederick Omondi says, we can pay for the show so we don't have many breaks here. Amjatuma bado.
Wape till number.
We can't tell the boss, walisema watatuma. Still Mike the one says, this is Sifuna Nation. The Pioneer says, we as Gen Z, it's either our parents choose between us or Ruto. We'll walk with them to the polling station and make sure they vote Ruto out. That is the view of the Pioneer VG8. And then we have very many people who are saying, declare your candidacy for president. Where are we going for president? The wisdom in you, Sifuna, is on another level. Don't team up with mediocrity. Tuchukue kura na hiyo siku twende tupige kura tusibaki home. We'll come back into this, into your journey. You said it's 18 months. These 18 months, you'll map out the 18 months for us. Yeah. But before that, Mariam, we were talking about the ODM, the tussle within ODM. Yes. So you've said, yes, this is what the issues that you raised within the party about the legitimacy of the interim party leader and the powers of the interim party leader to what extent it goes to. Yeah. Then we had the meeting in Kilifi, which you did not attend, despite being a member of the National Executive Committee. And the issue of your public utterances was raised. We spoke to the deputy party leader, Abdul Somad, the following day. Yeah. And he told us the matter was raised by a member, it was discussed, and your public utterances were discussed. And they found that this is an official of the party who is going against the dictates of the party, the good manners of the party. Those are my words, not the words of the meeting, right? Yeah. And that's why they said we ought to put in somebody who communicates what these organs of the party decide. Right. And that's why your deputy was elevated to the position. You've taken this matter to the Political Parties Dispute Tribunal. Absolutely. Which has said, halt everything, Sifuna will still be Secretary General. How far will this go? What is the due process? So first, everybody. And
you know the ODM constitution very well, being very critical of yourself. Did you break party rules and did you act in a capacity that was unlike that of a Secretary General with some of your utterances?
Now, madam, there's a rule that he who alleges must prove. They are the ones who have made the allegations. As far as I'm concerned, no one has ever told me what my mistake is, formally. So, one of the arguments that I have refused to accept is that Sifuna is no longer an individual. I don't have any individual capacity. I don't have any individual view or personal views. That even when I'm talking to my 9-year-old daughter, I am the SG of ODM. And that the things we discuss between me and her, she usually comes to give me tea from school. Oh, today there was a frog that jumped on someone. You know, they are saying that's the argument. Does that make sense to you? That in every space that I sit, I do not. That's a minute. You just follow their logic. They are saying Edwin Sifuna Watenya has no capacity to give personal views anywhere, including in my bedroom. Can you imagine? I asked one day that ati hata nikifail kwa kitanda nimeangusha mbogi mzima ya ODM.
We asked that question.
You're extending it.
No, I have to make it very clear how ridiculous that argument is.
But when are you speaking as a SG?
That is their problem. You know, I don't know if I should introduce every statement that I say, now I want to say this thing as Sifuna, then I say, no, now I want to speak as a senator of Nairobi, now I just want to speak as a Luya man, now I want to speak as a friend of NTV. I mean, it's ridiculous. So,
in some instances, you know you're being flippant.
No.
Okay, if when you appear to a media interview such as this one,
we
have advertised and said the Secretary General of ODM is coming. The name that we are putting on the screen is the Secretary General of ODM. When you appear with Yvonne Okwara, it is the Secretary General of ODM that is speaking. When you go to parties and say, kwa maombi, kwa baraka za Mwenyezi Mungu na maombi yenu, nasimama hapa kama
nikiwa bado.
Even before the bado, it was nikiwa katibu mimi ndio Sifuna, katibu mkuu wa chama cha ODM.
Latif.
In church, in the places that you spoke.
Latif.
You spoke as ODM Secretary General.
Latif. Mimi, do I work in your graphics department?
No, you don't.
You had a choice to write on your poster there, Edwin Sifuna appearing as a Nairobian.
Nairobi senator.
Yes, Nairobi senator.
But we did not invite.
You did not, that's what I'm telling you. Yeah. So, the truth is, I wear all these hats, right? But that does not oust my freedom of speech to be able to, and conscience, to express myself on the things that I see. Now, Baba himself in Kakamega, he said, Sifuna has a right to say what he wants to say. You can also go to Yvonne Okwara's show or to this one and say what your piece is, you know? So I need to be, you know, like in this case, what we are looking for, I don't want to go into the details, is to be shown the accusation. So, for instance, Mariam, when they say that your public utterances are contrary to a resolution of a party, you have to demonstrate to me this is the resolution of the party and this is the public utterance that goes against it. For instance, when they read the resolutions in Kilifi, they said that they are mandating the party leader to begin conversations with all political formations, beginning with UDA, right? They read it, and I have a copy of that resolution here. I walk around with it everywhere. So when somebody who was a member of that meeting comes and says, we will not talk to party X, isn't he the person in violation of that resolution? Isn't he the one in violation of that constitution? But Sifuna saying, mimi mambo ya Ruto apana, is where they draw the line. And suddenly it is a ruckus. And what I said is this: our expectation as members of the party is when you do these negotiations, you come and talk to Mariam and hear what Mariam has to offer the party in terms of the conversation that we're having. And I have insisted that that conversation has to be about values. Right. Then you come to Latif, and then you bring all these conversations that you've had back to the membership and let the members say which offers the best path for ODM. Now, unfortunately, in these conversations, and surprisingly, they have taken a very surprising turn, that these negotiations are happening on podiums. May I remember when Raila was doing coalition negotiations with this Kina Kalonzo, they used to go to some place in Zanzibar, wanajificha huko, wanaongea kama wazee. You never heard him saying, oh, tunataka deputy, umesimama kwa podium, Kondele. Who negotiates like that? So when we raise these objections, wanasema ati tunaenda against the resolution of the party. Secondly,
that thing of if you start negotiating a deputy, Kwanza, you'll end up.
You start negotiating by saying the things you don't want. Ati sisi hatutaki. You know, it's quite interesting. But secondly, we are insisting on saying, Baba used to tell us that you walk this journey with people who are like-minded. So when I ask the question, when you're going to speak to Mariam, you have to demonstrate to me how Mariam is like-minded to me. Would an ODM administration, for instance, countenance the tear gassing of a church? And that conversation has to be a values conversation. We are not saying that these political parties must mirror each other in terms of their values, but at least get me somebody who we can close ranks on some of his values. So if Sifuna is a member of a government that is shooting people in Kitengela, that is killing young people all across the country, does that sit well with me? It doesn't. That is the reason why when we wrote that MOU, I have a story. I don't know if we have time.
If you can,
the background of that MOU.
Yes.
When Raila lands from Addis, you remember he goes straight to Mombasa. State House, Mombasa.
Yep.
And he has told this story publicly, that he arrives there and he finds a coalition agreement prepared. And he says, no. You know, me, I don't do things like that. I have to speak to my people, right? And he embarks on these consultations. There was a meeting of a central committee that we did in Kisumu at night. And Baba tells these people, okay, we have had suggestions that we should do some form of agreement with UDA. So there's a technical team that is working on it. When you finish drafting that document, give it to Sifuna. And everybody's like, oh, okay. Then I remember some of these broad-based characters saying, oh, but Baba, can we form a committee? Why just one person? Then I remember Mzee just asking him, how many people do you need to read a document? And he banged the table and the meeting was over. Now, a week goes by. I'm calling these guys. I'm like, hey, see, muletele draft.
Document.
Nothing. Until the morning, we are sitting at KICC there. The day of the signing of that document, we are sitting there at KICC. The entire central committee is there. And the president's team is across the floor. And then these guys shuffle in with a laptop bag. And there's a screen like this one there. And then they start projecting the agreement. We didn't get even to the third paragraph. Raila stops them and says, but by the way, is this what we agreed you go and prepare? Then Mzee says, no, this is not it. Then he asked me, Sifuna, have you read this thing? I'm like, Mzee, in front of God, they are here. I have been asking these gentlemen to show me this document. This is the first time I'm seeing it with you. The meeting stops. We are sent upstairs. I have an office on third floor. We sat there. Nyongo was sitting in my chair with Nyongo and the others. We wrote this thing from scratch. And there is a reason there is a reason. Because Mzee used to say, you must put the people first. This issue of conversations with these other parties is not about who's getting which position. You know, it's about, can we fix the value system in the country?
Right.
So that document we prepared in my office. I printed one copy, went and showed my boss. He's like, yeah, this is now what we are about.
The MOU that you now have
yes,
publicly.
it is us who wrote it.
Okay.
What was the initial one?
What?
The one that Baba said,
the one that Baba
paragraph
rejected.
3.
We didn't even get to paragraph 3 because we could see where the conversation was going.
Where was it?
Sijui kama, you
Just
know,
tell us. I mean,
it was about this conversation they're talking about. How we are going to work together, who gets what. That is not who ODM is. So we show Baba this agreement, and he's like, okay, take it across the hall there. If they are in agreement, we go and sign. Do you know those guys never read that document? I was in that room for literally less than 3 minutes. I showed them because, and I had warned the party in the beginning that William Ruto was not interested in the text. We would have written, even if I wanted, I would have written in there paragraph 3, Ruto must go. He would not have seen it. He would have still have signed it. He was not interested in the content. He was interested in the optics. So that
the optics of you together.
Asema, wangapi wanasema tuungane, tutembe pamoja, and he has achieved that largely because you can now see the confusion between the MOU and broad-based and the others.
Which also says that there was never any intention of implementing.
Absolutely. There was no intention. Look at the provisions of that constitution, the MOU. We said he must stop killing young people. Since the signing of that agreement to date, Mariam, the government of William Ruto has killed more than 20 people, including Kina Ojwang. Now, I ran into problems on that famous Yvonne show because I said, the moment Albert Ojwang dies in a police cell, to me, that agreement is of no use. And say, oh, how can Sifuna declare this MOU dead? It's only Baba who can declare. I'm like, boss, if someone is in material breach of an agreement with you, basic law, that breach is so egregious because you cannot bring back Albert Ojwang's life to be able to enjoy any of the other things in the agreement, you know? So we have to agree that the conversations that we have for us in Linda Mwananchi are totally opposite to what these guys are looking for. So if they say they don't want president, they don't want deputy, maybe if they added the Ministry of Agriculture, they will be happy.
They'll be happy. So let me ask this question. This matter is before the dispute tribunal of the political parties, but the leadership of the party, the other leaders of the party, from the party leader to the deputies to the chairperson and the others are proceeding. They are talking about, we are going to enter into these negotiations. We are organizing an NDC which shall bring together people and so on and so forth. It appears that they are moving, whether you are in it or not.
It's okay.
To what extent are you prepared to fight for the soul of ODM? Because I hear this is what you're fighting for. You're fighting for the soul of ODM and what you're calling the spirit of Raila Odinga. To what extent are you prepared to fight for this thing? At what point
I gave an undertaking to my boss at on the day of his burial that it will not be me to break up or ruin his party. They are the ones who have begun a war. We have to defend the values of the party until the logical end. You know, at the end of the day, we said during our presser there that we will defend the values of this party in whatever way that we know. Every legal means is available for us. We will speak to the people, we will use the courts. At the end of the day, it appears that they have made up their minds, and we don't begrudge them. We only pray that it is possible to follow the constitution of the party. It is possible for you to call a properly convened NDC. And I had said even previously that the schism between the leadership of the party can only now be resolved by the membership of the party. Even if you brought Kofi Annan, I don't know which mediator there is out there, to sit me and the other side down, because they are so entrenched in their government positions. God knows what they get from there. It is almost impossible at this particular stage to convince some of them to beat a retreat. And it is also public knowledge that it is impossible to convince Sifuna to see Ruto as somebody who's fit for office. It is just impossible. So the way that you resolve that conflict is to allow the membership of the party to give clear mandate to one side. And I want members of ODM to understand that the confusion will not end if you have a one-term party leader, Paju, and a two-term SG. It is not going to be possible. You know all of us now. Just pick a side and say, sisi, kama wanachama wenye chama, tumeamua kwamba tunaenda na hawa watu. And once that mandate is given, then the rest of them, whoever remains remains, whoever leaves.
If the Chama gives the mandate of 2-term?
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. Let them give a clear mandate. But we are saying follow the constitution. Give the proper delegates an opportunity to say, sisi tunaenda na 2-term. Sawa. Then the rest of us now can make our own decisions going forward. Yeah.
Afixa had asked and saying, don't wait until 2027 to form our party, our Kama Sisi Kama Sifuna party.
You know, I want this the public to understand that institutions such as ODM belong to all of us. Mariam, the reason why you, as I don't even know which party you belong to, but you are a taxpayer. Maybe you're not even a member of any party. You are a taxpayer. Your funds, your resources, your money funds ODM. Therefore, you have a stake in it. There is a reason why political parties are encouraged to exist and to grow. I would not want an institution as big as ODM that has taken so long to build, with tears and sweat and deaths, you know, to collapse or to die. I want members of the party and the public to understand that we are all invested in this institution. We must fight for it. And Baba did not grow people who run away from things. You don't run away. You have to stand your ground and say, this is who we are. This is our property. This is ours. You know? So that person who's saying our party should be calling ODM our party. You have invested in it. Yeah, you have invested in ODM.
I think they're probably coming from the point of view of
Emenda.
Might as well start.
No, you know, one of the most interesting things, I want to assure members of ODM. I had one of the Linda Ground people saying they have more leaders on their side. We are not interested in leaders. We're interested in the people. You know, let them count the number of MPs who are there. And I am sure you know the attrition rate of the National Assembly. And the anger that is out there about some of the decisions that these members of the National Assembly have taken. You remember, Mariam, there were people who voted for the finance bill in 2024. I see some of them gallivanting around here saying, Sifuna must go. They have, I'm telling you, Kenyans have not forgotten. They will hold them to account. So let them count the leaders on their side. We will count the people. In fact, we are setting up a mechanism. You know, when I hear people saying Sisi ndio Sifuna, we want to conduct census of these Sifunas. Right. How many are we actually? Yeah. Once we know how many we are, we will take certain steps that will be, in the right direction.
Some of them are saying that they are Sifuna, they are not ODM. If Odette says, I will not fight for ODM, I will fight for Sifuna.
I appreciate that. It is it's a democracy, but I am saying she must understand that ODM as an institution is funded by taxpayer money. All of us are invested in that party. And we have a responsibility to fight for it because it is our party. Nobody should be claiming that it is not our party. Yeah.
Let's get into matters national now, outside of ODM. Presidential ambitions, yes or no?
Now, I said at the beginning of this show that all of you, if you have ever uttered the word Ruto must go, you must be available to go him. You understand?
Yes.
And therefore, it is not about Sifuna. Personally, I have a lot of faith in especially in the young people of this country. You cannot tell us that in a population of over 50 million people, that only 10 people are viable candidates for president. It is not possible. It is just that the system has succeeded in scaring people into thinking that you have to have billions of shillings to be able to run this campaign. It is a tactic that is used to scare, especially young people from office. One of these fine days, I will run the numbers for my senatorial campaign here. It is nowhere near the figures that people throw around. You know, they are saying, "Oh, who is financing these rallies?" I will give you a breakdown. You know, in this city, goodwill is more valuable than money. I can be given something for free, which you cannot be sold.
True.
Wewe utakuja na pesa wakatae kukuuzia na wanipay for free. So, Latif, for instance, in Kakamega, we have the reason I bring up goodwill. You can see the sort of infrastructure that is coming with us. That gentleman who provided the dais and the sound has worked with Mzee for years. So he's not going to hassle me, you know. The entirety of that setup cost us 500,000 shillings.
Right.
Alone. So I want young people to understand this thing is not about billions. It's about goodwill. Then,
Senator.
Yes.
It was a yes or no, President.
No, I want you to understand something. It's context.
Okay.
It is important.
Okay.
So first, they use figures to scare people. Number two, when you have goodwill, so 500,000 and you saw all the members of parliament that are there, the amount of money that I spent, me personally as Sifuna in Kakamega, is 100,000 Kenya shillings, and I'll give you the breakdown. So all of us contribute for the stage and the sound. 50,000 shillings each, right? When they messed up our travel plans, that charter to and from Webuye was 500,000. So the plane has a capacity of 14 people. We went 10, we came back 14. Each one of us gave 50,000 shillings. Okay. I was offered the chicken in Kakamega and said, Sifuna, we are giving you 20 chicken because we know you guys have to eat lunch. Another person says, they can be brought to my hotel for us to be able to do what? To cook for you and you eat and you go. People are offering expertise. We are overwhelmed, I'm telling you. So, in fact, our challenge here is to be able to harness all this expertise.
Now, those people,
and I'm telling you,
those people who are offering expertise,
that's what I'm saying,
and support, want you to answer this question.
I am answering the question. All of us in Linda Mwananchi have been saying, even in our rallies, even in Kakamega, that all of us have the capacity to be able to send William Ruto home. But there are certain things that have to happen first, including that census that I spoke about. We need to know how many we are. We need to know how many these people running around saying, I am Sifuna, what are the numbers? And the sort of infrastructure we need to put in place to harness all this support. And then when the day comes and they say, oh, by the way, we want Mariam to be the candidate for president, because you have said Ruto must go, you must be available to go him. Let us proceed, you know? That is the answer that I will give to that particular question.
Are you hesitating or are you being strategic?
It's not about hesitation.
Because people are asking, is Sifuna going to run for president?
I have answered the question. I have said, when the call comes, you cannot run away.
They're calling.
That's what I'm saying. You cannot run away. All of us in Linda Mwananchi understand and appreciate.
Yes. They are calling.
And this is what I'm saying. This is not how to call. This is not how to call. We want you to register to vote and show me that I am a registered voter. I vote at Embakasi Garrison and I am Zifuna. And then we look at the numbers and we see we are how many? 5 million of us, or 10 million of us, or 20 million of us. It has to be a structured process, you know, just about shouting. Number two, Eric, we have started a conversation. This conversation is not an easy conversation, you know. We have the duty of a lifetime to be able to rescue our country. Don't make this thing about Sifuna, because I spoke to you in the morning when we began this show about critical mass. If it is just you alone at the top here shouting, it is very easy to be knocked off the patch. I want us to grow this movement to a level where there is like 10 viable candidates for president, you know, so that if they somehow go after one, you have 9 other people who can run for president. You people should protect us by not, you know...
exposing it.
Yes, absolutely. So protect the movement by not making it about any one person. And then we will succeed.
And let me ask this question this way. So you've said that first you want to understand the numbers. You want to do a census of the Sisindi or Sifuna so that you know how many we are, and let those Sifunas then decide who is the lead Sifuna.
Correct.
Among us.
Absolutely.
What is the mechanism that you want to use for
now
this?
We are going to
tell these people, because they want to volunteer to be counted.
These young people.
That's what I'm telling you.
Let
us census your Sifunation.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. We are working with amazing young people who are developing for us a platform to do some of these things that can answer the question, how can I help? Because that is the question that I am asked the most. How can I be part of this? How can I help? And this is the fantastic thing about it, is that people are not just offering. It's not about money, you know. It's about time. It's about expertise. It's about like now we were offered sound because people saw, like in Kawangware, sound yetu ilizima. And then we went to Kitengela, and once the dais was destroyed, we were struggling with sound. And I can show you, like even in Kakamega, we had been offered 3 podiums for free and 3 sound systems for free. So we want to be able to develop something that somebody can say, me, by the way, I have new tires for vehicles. Can you come and pick them at place X? These young people are putting together an amazing platform. I just want people to be patient. We will use this break that we have taken for Ramadan to be able to do some of this backroom stuff and be able to push this movement to wherever it is that it will go. We are painfully aware that there have been movements like this before, and they fizzle out when you leave the people behind, you know? So this has to be a movement that is people-centered, people-driven. Whatever it is the outcome, I will continue to insist, please don't make this thing about Sifuna. Make it so that the public can be able to own it and say, hii ni yetu sisi wenyewe tunafanya, you know? And you'll free us from a lot of things.
True.
And that is what we are hoping to do.
You've even hinted at what was going to be my next question, which was how to keep up this momentum. I think we see this sort of need for change come in waves. June 2024, June 2025, and so on and so forth. And now I think your ouster, or attempted ouster, it's still in court, as SG has become another, you know, ignition. But then there's the fear that it'll fizzle out, and then we're back to a level of complacency, to kotu sawa, or because we're going into an election year, an election cycle, there'll be a lot of goodies, a lot of gifts, a lot of and then again we find ourselves complacent.
Now, first of all, the consistency is what keeps the movement going. In our view, we will consistently continue to agitate for a different Kenya. And I want Kenyans to have that software conversation, you know? Please don't ask me how many kilometers of roads I'm going to do. Can I just guarantee you that I will not kill your children? Can I just offer that guarantee? That we are not going to compete with William Ruto on how many markets he's building, you know? And how he's building them. We can build markets. I mean, I've told you that we have expertise. There's people who can do wonderful things for this country. You hear people designing metros and rapid bus transportation systems. In other cities, they are Kenyans. Can we create an environment for them to say, I want to go back home? And because I can see that the environment at home is enabling for me to be able to offer my expertise to my country, you know? So we hope that we can persuade Kenyans that the software is the problem, you know, and then put in place systems of meritocracy to be able to tap. You know, I receive complaints, Bana, my sister, many people who are never promoted, people who are overlooked in the public service itself, in the police itself. The pensioners are crying, everybody's crying. Can we build a country that works for everyone? I gave you the story before we started that I went home in December to see my mom. And we have brothers, we have sisters, we have cousins who graduated as teachers 8 years ago. And you know what they do in parliament so that they have members on their side? They give them these employment letters. I don't know where those letters come from. They never give Sifuna. In fact, somebody posted in a group there, a leader in the National Assembly saying, these letters are only going to broad-based people. So my mom, being a mom, we are sitting at home and she says, my son, why don't you just keep quiet and let your brothers get employment? Those are the things we struggle with, and it's actually painful. It's my own family telling me, Sifuna, we do unyamaze tu bwana tupate hizi mabarua pia sisi tumeteseka miaka 8. My answer is always very simple. Like, give me 18 months. You have waited for 8 years. You can wait for 18 months. When we put in place a system of meritocracy at the TSC that guarantees that nobody can skip. You graduated 2 years ago, but because you know Sifuna, you come and get a letter from my office. And yet the person who graduated 8 years ago has no chance because they don't know Sifuna. We want to destroy that entire ecosystem to rebuild our country. So those of us, we will keep at it. We mean well for this country.
You'll push it.
We are hoping that we are able to persuade the public that this country can actually be run different in accordance with the law.
On Sunday, at a rally in Nairobi, Eugene Omalo, the leader of DAPK, among the other leaders of the United Alternative Government, as they call it now, said, we'd like to reach out to Sifuna and the others who were in Kakamega yesterday. Let's work together, because all of us have the same objective, one term for William Ruto. Will you reach out to them?
I think there is a general acceptance, if you speak to ordinary Kenyans, is that we need an overwhelming repudiation of William Ruto and everything that he stands for. You know? It has to be overwhelming. We must beat William Ruto by at least 5 million votes. Just Kenyans to demonstrate we reject this sort of thing. So that it is a lesson and a precedent for the entire country that if you ever build a government that does not listen to the people, we will send you home. That precedent is critical for the future of this country. So in order for you to achieve that overwhelming repudiation, there is a common understanding amongst the population that we must approach this election as a unit. We must be one force against William Ruto.
Yeah.
I want to give this assurance here because there's people who think that our movement is going to split the vote or anything like that.
Yeah.
That is not what our intention is. I want to assure anybody who believes that our country cannot afford another 5-year term for William Ruto, we will not be the problem. That's what I'm telling Kenyans this morning. We will not be the problem because I can't countenance waking up and hearing William Ruto has won elections by 100,000 votes or 200,000 like he did last time. So the members of the united opposition, let them keep doing what they are doing. I said one time that when you go hunting for an animal, that is dangerous because we are not under any illusion that it's going to be easy. This guy has the state. He has proclivities, inclinations to violence. You have seen it. It is possible for him to manufacture situations such as we've seen in Uganda and in Tanzania to ensure that we don't campaign, you know. So we know that we are up against it. Let nobody think that we think it is an easy thing. No, we are up against a very wily politician. You have to give him his flowers. He knows his stuff. So we must accept that he has certain strengths and then agree that those strengths that he has does not allow much room for sentiment within the opposition ranks.
Right.
All of us must be able to agree and say, this is the formula that will take this gentleman home. When you are hunting an animal that is dangerous, you don't all come in from one direction. You know?
Approach it from different angles.
Yes, you approach it from here. So I'm happy that now we are seeing them in Kisii, we are seeing them in other places. All of us must wake up the spirit of the nation and say, this is a moment that we need to set that precedent, that the people are supreme.
Somebody's asking whether you have had a conversation with the chairman of the Azimio Council, Uhuru Kenyatta.
No, I have not had a conversation with him. He was, first of all, people expected that because Sifuna is SG, I am a member of the leadership of Azimio. Actually, I'm not on the council of Azimio. The council of Azimio, the representation of ODM was Honorable Junet Mohammed and I think Oparanya and a few other people. So much of the things that happen in Azimio, really, me, I am only focused about ODM. So now you can only ask me questions about ODM and you can ask me questions about the Linda Mwananchi group. We will give you, we will give you a breakdown of our expenses. I've given you here now.
Yes, you've given for one, like Kakamega, for example.
Kakamega,
yes.
Total 1 million. 500 for the charter, which was totally unnecessary because we had tickets, and 500 for the stage. Na unajua tunafurahia sisi tunapewa vitu tu na wananchi. Tuko mpaka na DJ, tuko na tuko na stage, tuko na sound. That's all you need. And then the people show up.
A few questions. One, this idea of going at it, as one group, eventually to get William Ruto out. It's noble, but co-option is part and parcel of our politics. How do you foolproof yourself in case someone somewhere in the united opposition, united alternative government, gets co-opted? And it's incredibly likely, and it's not just one.
So we are painfully aware that those are possibilities. I have been in movements before. You remember Kenya Moja? And then even the current one, there's people who will pick up, there's people who will fall off, because sometimes personal interests, they take precedence. But the assurance that I want to give Kenyans today is that many of us, in fact, many of us in the Linda Mwananchi group are extremely focused. I've told you there is nothing you can offer me now when I've been shown what the future looks like. We can see a free country in less than 2 years. We can see a country of merit in less than 2 years. Those places where they go and get money to bribe people, we are the ones who are going to be in charge of those places. So what can you offer me? There's nothing you can offer me, And I know, like, the fear is there because Kenyans have been through this before. Kenyans have been through this cycle before. You put your faith in someone, and then the next day, the thing you see is he has done the thing. So as a movement, you just look at all those people who are on that dais. Mariam, it is practically impossible to guarantee that all of us will get to Canaan together. The possibility is there, but keep praying for us. Keep praying for us for the temptations of the devil to just fall by the wayside.
Okay. Let me ask intrusive thought. And this was something I think we were even discussing yesterday with Latif. As far as this tear gassing of your rallies and the violence, whether it's goons, all of this, who does it serve? because I think about the kind of political mileage it's given you.
Yeah.
On one hand, it makes zero sense that the state would be doing this. On the other hand, it's like, who does it serve? This is me thinking out loud, not infiring, not trying to hint at anything. Just
no, you can just be forward. You know,
no,
I am your friend.
It's not the question I'm asking.
Don't fear to ask if I tear gas myself.
No. That's not the question I was asking, by the way. And that's why I'm very careful to say this is not me trying to infer. It's literally thinking out loud. I am very direct if you watch the show. If it was that, I would have just asked you to tear gas yourself. I'm really just trying to figure out who does it serve to essentially, give this, because they know exactly what they're doing.
The lionization.
Yeah,
of
the
Sifuna.
lionization of Sifuna. That's the word.
So, unajua, I one time I told President Ruto, he's very good at kushika handball. He's very good at those things, and I trust William Ruto to mess up. You know? Sasa, for instance, mumeandikishana mkataba, mmesema mtaua watu. Polisi wako watoke Nairobi, waende mpaka Homa Bay, wachukue mtu, wakuje wamuue. Hiyo ni handball umeshika ama hujashika. He's prone to those things. Somebody is in a church somewhere worshiping. You yourself rose to presidency on the back of a church, of the church in Kenya. They supported you. How do you countenance sending people to tear gas a church? Who does that benefit, by the way? Who does that benefit? It is him. He's prone to making these errors. So for me, my explanation, and I've talked about this before, is that we have won everything. We have won the argument. The ideology is with us. God is on our side. The people are on our side. Even the DJ is on our side. So they are saying there is only one fight that is remaining, and it is a physical fight. Because they can't send those broad-based people here on TV to debate us.
Yeah.
They can't. They can't explain to the people, for heaven's sake, what sort of negotiation style they are using to negotiate with William Ruto. They can't explain to the country what values UDA shares with ODM. So wanasema sasa hii mtu ni kupiga tu. Hii mtu ni kupiga tu. The sort of threats we received even in Kakamega. I have people saying, "Oh, so now Sifuna needs a bulletproof jacket." For what? You can even be poisoned. You can be shot like a dog in the streets. They killed Ongondowere in the streets. They killed Musha in today's papers. I was surprised that case is still going on. How many guns were in Mushai's car and bodyguards? He was killed right outside here in the streets. So let them not try and sell us fear. Their aim is to make sure our message does not go out. So we announced we are coming to Kakamega, and you hear people saying, people in leadership, people we even helped ascend to those leadership positions. I campaigned for that county governor of Kakamega and his deputy. You remember it was like a by-election. All of us had been elected, then Kakamega and Mombasa remained.
Yeah.
The things I went through personally, the resources that I spent personally, at least just leave me alone. But you cannot threaten me in Kakamega. You cannot threaten violence in Kakamega. Why can't you allow me to say what I have to say? You hold your rallies, nobody bothers about them. Nobody comes to Vuruga you. We don't even care where you're going. Or the frequency of your meetings. Can you please just respect my right to also hold political rallies? So this is the reason. And I'm telling you, I spoke at length about the worrying situation in Dar es Salaam and in Kampala. Because this thing is like a disease.
Yeah.
Like when COVID started, people were thinking, Wuhan is very far away.
Yeah.
Did not come to our shows. Those things that happen in Dar es Salaam and in Kampala can happen here because a regime that is scared, power does not see easily. When they will try to make sure that our message does not go out. And that is because the message we carry is the message of the people. You come and tell me why you killed Albert Ojwang. And I can come and tell you, and he doesn't want people to focus on the software. So he says, we are building a market in Gikomba, a market that Albert cannot go to, So for us, we are saying, let us have a debate. Let us have a conversation. You say your piece and I say my piece. And let the Kenyans decide.
Make a decision.
What sort of country do we want to live in?
Throughout our conversation today, Edwin, I've heard you saying that you will stay the cause.
Yeah.
And that the people are propelling you through this cause.
Yeah.
But that's sitting in numbers.
Correct.
Now, for sitting in numbers, it means that you're saying if you want people to say must go, they must be prepared to come out and go him. Obviously, there you're talking about people being armed with a voter.
Correct.
With a vote in the next election. From the IBC numbers so far, are you concerned about...
No, personally, I'm not concerned. Personally, I'm not concerned. My biggest problem, You know, I've been SG bana. This is my 9th year. In fact, yesterday was the anniversary of my appointment.
Happy
I am now year 9. Bado katibu mkuu wa chama cha ODM. So we have done all of these things. We've run voter registration drives. Some of the lessons that we've learned is a person who needs to be convinced to register is a problematic voter, because on the day of the vote, they have to be persuaded to go and vote. If you look at the elections last time, Kenya does not have a registration problem. It has a turnout problem. 8 million people registered. And I am sure it was out of these voter registration drives that we pushed.
Yeah.
And they did not show up to vote. What we need to understand is the reason why these people did not show up to vote.
Yeah.
In Nairobi alone, we have 2.5 million registered voters. 1 million people did not show up to vote. And we lost the election. This is a stronghold of Raila Odinga. We lost the election by 200,000 votes. What I would focus on, me personally, is the people who are already on the register. The people who are already on the register, I think we're doing 20 million.
Yep.
Is it?
Yep.
We are upwards of 20 million voters. Now, we
about
need
22 million.
Yes, we need to be able to persuade these people why it is important to show up to vote without any persuasion. You know, I have done so many things, man. And I have stories for days. In by-elections, for instance, I have run by-elections. You know, I had people crying, oh, Sifuna is not campaigning by-elections. When I was almost dying in Bonchari, I was alone. In Msambweni, I was alone. We ran Matungu alone. They almost killed us in Matungu. What are these people talking about by elections? But the most striking thing is you would find, for instance, when I'm moving around the polling stations, you'll find people chilling at the gate there. Then you're like, have you guys voted? Tibado. Munangoja nini? Ati wewe. You know, I just walk away. I'm just like, boss. Hamjaelewa ni nini tunajaribu kufanya. Even when people say, oh, the turnout in the by-elections, we didn't see young people voting. May I have understood the young people are telling me their gripe, their beef is not with the member from Mbeere North. No, that one will be sorted out in the general election. Their beef is with Ruto. And we should be able to mobilize these people to show up by painting to them a picture, like I've tried to do this morning, on the sort of country we can actually have. It is an option that is available. I don't know why we insist on bad things.
I hear you on that, but then I think about the voter registration being like, when you miss out on registering, there's a big constituent there that is young people, so that essentially then doesn't make it to the ballot.
Agreed. Now, there is a portion of people who have just turned 18, or those who turned 18, they didn't after the last election. There will be voter registration drives, especially the mass voter registration drives. We will do our best. That's what I'm telling you. That's what I can tell you. We will do our best with the limited resources. We have the numbers. I'm telling you, we were spending upwards of 3,000 shillings to register one person. I'm telling you. We have done these things, and if we have a commission, because a commission that is interested in having people registered, they cooperate. So I remember, like last time, they would say, well, Sifuna, you organize your thing, we'll bring you BVR kits and registration things, and it worked. But the same thing I experienced. One time we put a BVR kit outside a very famous bar in Otiende there. One of the locals, I go there to eat matumbo. So we put the registration kit outside there. And because I had various drives across the country, across Nairobi, so I started in Eastlands, went and saw people, the registration going on. In Kibra, we had a nice kahol there and people were registering, especially women and young mothers. They turned up to vote. So when I go to Otiende, can you imagine the kit is outside the restaurant here? There's people standing on the side. Actually, many of them were lying on the ground. So when they saw my car is when they ran to the line. So I asked them, what were you people waiting for? Ati tulikuwa tunangoja wewe. And you know what that means? So I said, me, I want to speak to the ones who have registered already. If you are waiting for a politician to mobilize you to vote, then you don't understand the assignment that is ahead of us. That's not to say we will not try. We will try our best. I said in Muranga, tutaingiza kit kwa Quiver huko. Quiver lounge tukuanzia, unajua they have more facilities than the Nairobi County government.
Right.
Speaking of which, as we're going to get a few calls, and people are going to, Sifunas are going to talk to Sifuna.
All right.
Nairobi City County.
Yes.
This partnership agreement that was signed. Of course, you addressed a press conference the other day.
Yes.
What next steps are you prepared to take? So what's the beef with the agreement?
Yeah.
And what are you prepared to do for the city of Nairobi?
So now, let me explain the beef. I want to make it very clear that nobody is against development. We have not refused roads. We have not. God knows we need roads in Nairobi. They have been terrible.
And sewer systems.
And sewer systems and all the other things. We appreciate that. My gripe, and I will always go back to this document. The Constitution of Kenya has to be respected while doing these things. I have explained even as we started in the show that I feel the exasperation of Kenyans. They're just like, let the road be built, bwana. It doesn't matter if the procurement laws were flouted, if people are bribing each other, let the road be built. I appreciate where you're coming from as a Kenyan when you tell me those things. But it is possible to achieve development in the context of the law. So in this particular case, the Constitution allows the county government or any level of government to cede certain functions to the other. But because these guys are trying to be clever, they don't want to follow the Constitution on how that is supposed to be done. They go and do something which they are calling a cooperation agreement. Now, there are a few problems with that cooperation agreement. Yesterday, I sent to your producer something called the County Government's Additional Allocations Act, which we pass in order to send money for specific functions in the specific need of the counties. I don't know if you guys project things for your viewers, but for instance, there are counties that when they started, we gave them money specifically to build county headquarters because they did not exist. If you go to Mandera, there is a beautiful complex that was built by Governor Roba, the initial governor there. There was no county headquarters. So what we did is we passed a law saying we recognize the special need of Mandera. We are going to send you X amount for county headquarters. In that same bill, when you go to the column for Nairobi, you will see it is empty because Nairobi had already a headquarters. Number two, we are building these things they call county aggregation parks in the counties. That, if you look at that schedule, you will see Bungoma has received money for that. Kiambu has received money for that. Nairobi has not received money for county aggregation parks. It is in recognition that this is not a need for the city. Now, in that same bill, it is possible for us to give money to the Nairobi County government to do street lights that maybe a place like Turkana does not have a similar need. If you look at the bill for electricity for Nairobi, it is the highest, actually. It is higher than some of these allocations we send to other county governments. So the law is there, the Urban Cities and Areas, Urban Areas and Cities Act, that says you recognize the special needs of the cities and send money to the duly elected county government to do the jobs. Once Latif, you say, we will do this thing
jointly.
Not even jointly. If you look at the implementation committee that has been put in place, Musalia Mudavadi is essentially sneaking onto the governor's seat. Instead of akuje apambane na wanaume kama wengine, achaguliwe kama governor. So he's the one who's going to do that job. That is different from sending money to the county governments and telling them, you build your county headquarters.
As a conditional
Correct. You know, so that is the first problem. Number two,
we have a call on the line. So just tell us what is the next step.
So already the matter is in court. We don't even need to belabor it, you know. And once the matter is in court, you know, like now we have the sub judice rule. We don't speak about it in detail, and I cannot also not bring it in the Senate because the courts are already taken charge. That is the respect for constitutional order. So once the courts tell us the propriety of this matter, we in the Senate will also take up that cause.
Sawa. Jaka in Busia.
Jaka, okay.
It's Jaka, right, Philip?
Okay.
Jaka in Busia. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. I'm calling from Busia.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm calling from Busia.
Asante sana for calling. Wewe ni Sifuna?
Mimi ni Sifuna. Mimi ni by the way.
Ongelesha Sifuna hapa.
Aya, bwana Sifuna mheshimiwa.
Sema bro.
Poa sana. Mimi ni alumni hapa ya Msimbu.
Wewe ni Jombi.
Wewe ni Jombi ya Msimbu Open Bar.
Asante.
Nilikuwa naomba hivi. Every time I've loved the way you approach your leadership. Let party politics not erase you. Be focused on national leadership.
All right.
You ready?
tumekupata Mike. You should not let...
But politics is good, right? Well, it's your money. Yeah?
Asante.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let us be talking national leadership. Whoever is composed by him. Yeah?
Asante.
Thank you, Jaka. Thank you very much. We have James from Nairobi. James, good morning.
Thank you.
James Geshuru,
Yes.
good morning. Please speak to Senator
Good
Sifuna.
morning.
I think...
Amepotea huyo.
amepotea. All right.
Amepotea.
Hao watu wananipea wasiwasi. Wanajiita Sifuna hawana airtime. Tutawezana hii maneno ya Ruto must go kweli.
Cross
We'll
call.
galvanize.
Ama ni nini yenu hii?
Cross call. Someone from Marakwet?
Hillary from Marakwet. Good morning. Hillary, good morning.
I am still on air. Was that deliberate?
Oh, James is still on air.
Okay, James.
Hello, yes?
Yes, please go ahead. What were you telling Senator Sifuna?
Mr. Sifuna, good morning.
Good morning, James.
So now that it is a few months since Omondi, the Honorable, passed away, is it okay if I read something that shows in my world gauge the political atmosphere of the country at the moment?
Proceed.
Since the Ndembele had been less severely crushed in the course of the rebellions than the Shona, and their own political system had survived to a considerable extent, it was natural that they should be first to recover their political awareness and confidence. So, Sisi Sifuna this is from Zimbabwe. This is a reaction of us recovering our political awareness after the Honorable Raila. So you should vie for presidency like Jordan Bardella of France. You guys are age mates. He's even much younger than you. The Netherlands has a new prime minister.
James,
Sorry for
amepotea.
talking too long, yes? You
No,
respond?
that was good message, James. Thank you very much for the message, and I think it has landed. He's basically telling you this is the moment.
Good morning, Mariam Bishar.
You
Good morning,
represent
James. Thank
the
you so
nation's
much.
consciousness. Thank you very much, James. We can drop him so we can hear. We had somebody from Marakwet. Hillary from Elgeyo Marakwet. Good morning. Hillary.
All right.
Aye.
No, that message
Jibu
from
hawa,
James. Yeah.
All I can say is that first for Jaka in Busia, I will remain eternally grateful for the support from Busia. Even in Busia, we had been told that we were not going to be able to get into Busia, that they had put guns, that the police were going to interrupt it. But to their credit, the police in Busia, this thing is not, the police are not entirely the problem. There's people in the hierarchy, in the police command structure who misuse some of the police officers. But you saw that in Busia, they just stayed away. In fact, they were giving us escort into the town.
Yeah.
And, the young people who were there escorting us, providing us with cover. Because as the young people were saying during Maandamano, seeing in numbers, you must overwhelm these people. If they plan 1,000 goons, then 10,000 of you must show up to be able to allocate yourself 10 people per goon, and then you will overwhelm them. So I thank the people of Busia. You guys, this movement was birthed in Busia, and it has been taking on a life of its own in Kitengela as well. James, I hear you. I mean, we have gone through these conversations.
Yeah.
I have pleaded with the country that this movement cannot be about Sifuna, even though you're calling yourselves Sifuna. And he has rightly said that it is an awakening of, or what did he say?
Political consciousness.
Yeah, the awakening of the political consciousness.
Yeah.
And I hope that because all of us now are Sifunas, it should not be this Sifuna, or it can be any one of us to be able to deliver the moment that we are living in. So we hear all of them.
Look at that camera 3.
Which one?
Camera 3.
Yeah.
Speak to Sifunas, all right?
Yeah.
In a minute.
Yeah.
Speak to Sifunas. They are speaking to you here, and they are expressing hope.
Yeah.
You represent their aspirations.
Yeah.
Some are hesitant to support you.
Yeah.
Some are doubting your sincerity.
Yeah.
what message would you pass to the nation?
I think first is to thank the country and everyone who has expressed support. I have felt the love, I've felt the warmth. You know, sometimes politics can be very lonely. And the sort of solidarity that has come out, especially from members of ODM, after what has happened and what we're going through in the party, it has given me strength. Sometimes, Maria, can you imagine if the people were not with us? It would have been quite devastating. But I just want to say that I have said even on this show that I am not perfect. But I will endeavor not to let anyone down. If you have ever put your trust in me or faith in me, I will not let you down. Let adversity bring us down, but it will not be us selling out. We will stay the course. We want more and more people to show up. For these things, we will find a way to allow everybody to be involved. It is something of a challenge that we have thrown to young people. They're telling us it can be done. I mean, and I want people to have the confidence that this thing can be done, that the country can actually be different. It doesn't have to be like this. We will still build your roads. We will still build your stadia. But we can assure you that we will live in a country that observes, a government that observes these 6 critical values. And we will all be free, you know. So despite the challenges, the threats, everything that is going to happen, I usually say even during maandamano, you know, you would leave parliament as 20 members of parliament. The first tear gas inapigwa pale nje ya bunge. When you turn back like this, there's 3 of you. Ya pili kikuja, umebaki wewe peke yako na OCS. So I want to tell this Sifunas here. The day I turn back and I find you people have disappeared, I'll also be very disappointed in you. Wanasema mnanichocha. Actually, that's what they are saying. They are saying I am the Peter Kenneth, moto ya gazeti, itaisha kama nyongi ya jana. So, hizi vitu zote zinasemwa. That's why I said we must conduct a census so that hata nyinyi mkiniwekea expectation, mjue pia niko na expectation na nyinyi. Tukubaliane ya kwamba hii safari tunatembea pamoja. Nataka tujue hawa Sifuna ni wangapi. Tunataka kufanya hiyo census. Na nikigeuka nikute umenitoroka. Wewe ndio utakuwa umeangusha mbogi, sio Sifuna.
Katibu mkuu wa chama cha ODM ambaye pia ni naibu wa kiranja walio wachache katika Senate na seneta wa jiji la Nairobi, Edwin Sifuna has been our guest. Thank you very much.
Asante for having me.
Creating a lot of content, and we want to end with that one of those.
Oh yeah, they have been amazing. Kwanza I need to shout out those TikTokers, man. They are doing fantastic work, and I have been moved. I wish I could reach every one of them. But you see, I just want to tell them, that, you know, I fear sometimes that if we make contact with these people, it will interfere with the spontaneity and the creativity, the organic nature of so msinipe pressure sana. Najua mnataka tukutane, lakini sasa si nitaharibu mambo.
Kila mtu akose kona yake.
Bana, it has been amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, it has been amazing.
One of them is this one. As we close the show, what's coming up next?
Your World is coming up next. Open relationships and polyamory, part 2. Remember, it was spicy the first time around, but there's a few guests coming in, and they'll be talking about multiple partners, one family. Can children thrive in those situations?
Indeed. So Sifunation has apparently gone even into church. So as we are closing the show, we are closing with this particular one. Wanasema wameingia mpaka ndani ya kanisa. Kwaherini, tuonane kesho.